Well, we finally did it. We are now the local Menace. Let's get into it, guys. What is going on, Phil Tryhard? It's Tom with Tryhard Gaming, bringing you back a brand new video, continuation of the local Menace. Just wanted to go ahead and do a video about the past couple times that I've played this deck at locals. I have went 4-0 both times. Now, that being said, this has been the deck that I've took to the YCS, that I've played competitively for a hot minute, and that deck is being Unchained. Or I call it the Unchained gang. I love this deck. This deck is so wild. I just love how it interacts. It's very heavy interaction. It's got a lot of disruptions. Sets up an amazing board. Well, very deceiving board, actually. I mean, the board is very... it's a very lackluster when you first look at it. It's just like, oh, you set up 2 in one set. That's nothing. But then you realize what else is in the graveyard, and you kind of look at what else is going to happen, and you just have several interactions, and then not including the potential locks that you can do with this deck. Let's go ahead and get started, and I'll do a little briefing on the ratios here. Most of the regular ratios here are kind of stock and standard. We have 3 Arua. This card is one of your best starters, probably the best starter, usually the card that you search off of whenever you go, when you go into Yama. This card has started several combos for, I mean, the entire deck. It does everything. Does your laundry. The only thing that that one-ups this card to me as your starter is Shavara. Shavara is definitely a 3-of in this deck. Both of those really good starters for this deck. Shavara is the one that does your taxes and does your laundry. So what this card does is it's a quick effect rather than Arua not being a quick effect. This card, if somebody goes to imperm a tour guide or one of your other monsters, you can literally go, okay, change Shavara to pop that card, and you dodge the imperm. So, for example, you literally go tour guide effect, they go imperm target tour guide, you change Shavara, popping the tour guide, and tour guide still resolves as normal because it's no longer on the field to be impermed. So, this card is just absolutely crazy. It can so pretty much everything in this deck will end up fiend locking. Well, the main old names and Shavara, while it's on field, will fiend lock you, as well as Arua whenever you use his effect to pop special. So these are your main 6 Unchained starters for the deck. We'll go ahead and just go over the engines. So we have the Unchained engine first, of course. We've also got some of your one-ofs here, which we have Abominable Unchained Soul. This card is it's like to me it's a soft brick. You don't really want to see it because you can special it out, but if you do see it, if you use cards like Shavara to pop a spell or pop one of your Unchained traps or one of your spells, you go pop, bring out Chainlink 1, trap, Chainlink 2, Abominable, and you can chain block with this card. So it's very good to have, very good for your Unchained utility belt. Your other one of is Sarama. Sarama is really good for recycling your traps and then popping, usually in Arua. So whenever you say you pop one of your traps that you set off of Shavara later on in your combo, or earlier on in the combo, you go set chamber or set escape, pop it, bring out whatever you want, usually Sarama at this point, depending on what the board state is like. And then Sarama, if nothing happens on summon, you can go Sarama effect to reset that trap you just popped, to have for follow-up for next turn, or for disruption on your opponent's turn. A couple more one-ups for the Unchained package. We have one Rikka. I've seen people run this at 2. I've had this at 1 since I've played it. I used to run... I really, originally when I first put this deck together, I didn't really run it at all. But I think this card is just another name that you absolutely need, and it is very, very, very important to when you do a Nibiru combo, or if you try to play through Nibiru. This card is very, very versatile in that sense. So I think that this card is required. 2, I think 2 seems kind of sacky to me, but I feel like if you do run 2, you're able to have more options in your deck and more possibilities. So there's one of the other one-ofs, and then the last one of course, is your one Blue Dog. Blue Dog is just absolutely good, absolutely crazy as an extender. Usually it's special summoned off one of the traps or one of your one of your names. Also can be used as an extender to pop one of your other monsters and have the ability to pop a spell or trap on field. So this card is just absolutely crazy. You're just able to extend for days, and it also has the graveyard recursion effect to where whenever it's in the graveyard, you can pop one set card or one fiend monster you control, and then bring it back out, and then that usually triggers one of the other effects that you have to bring one of them back out. So this card, absolutely important. I don't think I'd run this more at one. Kind of like Rikka, both of these to me seem kind of sacky if you draw both of them, or if you just draw into them. Now I will say I have had several games, especially today, where I would draw both Abominable and Shyama. Now if you draw both of these together and you still have somewhat of a full combo and you're able to pop a card, then you're able to go him, bring him out, and pitch Shyama so you have a live Shyama, and you don't have to activate his on summon effect to non-target pop. We're going to get into a little bit more of the utility stuff, or the main deck monsters that aren't, Unchained names. So we have 3 Tour Guide. This card is just absolutely insane. It could do, it's usually made, like this is your 1-card starter for this deck. A lot of people already know this by now, but this card just absolutely does everything. You're able to bring out, of course, your one of Fiendish Rhino Warrior on top of that, and you're able to link off these two because Yama only requires 2 Fiends, and you go chain link 1 Yama, chain link 2 Rhino Warrior. So you're able to chain block Yama, and you're able to foolish your Shavara to set 1 from deck. So these cards to me are something like you definitely want to see one of these in your opening hand. I have had a couple games where I only open this, or I open up both of them. You could still special this from hand because this specials from deck or hand, but it does put you down a card. So at that point, I'm just kind of like, do I want to special this from hand? I mean, yeah, more than likely, but I don't like doing it. So that is that's the main combo monsters that I have in here. We're gonna get to the rest of the Unchained spell traps here. We run 2 Chamber. This is your Monster Reborn and your special from hand, or your special from hand, because this one can do both. And when it's popped, they all have the same effect. Whenever they're popped, you can special one from a deck. Really good. Of course, we run 3 Escape. This is your pop 2, another form of disruption. This really comes up whenever you go 3, or whenever you have Yama or Soul of Rage on field and Yama in grave. Whenever they go for the normal summon, you can't link off with Soul of Rage because you can only link off with special monsters. And then what you do here is you just go, okay, flip Escape, pop, pop, and if it resolves, then you pop Soul of Rage, and you pop your opponent's monster, and then Yama will trigger in graveyard, and you will be able to chain block your Yama. You usually go chain link 1 Yama, chain link 2 Soul of Rage, target a Fiend in grave, which is usually, I like to add back Shavara, or if Abominable's in grave, I prefer to add that because it's just another form of disruption, because I'm definitely going to be able to pop another card during their turn. And this card just comes in clutch a lot. This is usually what I search for whenever I'm doing just the regular main combo. I feel like that's now it does come up with different scenarios where this card is going to be more important to have on the field than Escape, but to me, like for example, if you get nibbed, you're probably going to want Chamber instead of Escape, because you're going to be able to still go Wave High King, but you're going to want to use this to bring out your Soul Rage from grave, and then if you have Escape set, if you have both sets, then you're just gaming, because all you can, at that point, you can have Yama in graveyard, and then Reborn Soul Rage with this, and then pop Soul Rage again with this, get the search and the Yama special to bring back Soul Rage, to also get Soul Rage back for the link play, to link off into one of your other options, which would be SP Little Knight or Nightmare Griffin, or Nightmare Unicorn. So then the last little bit of the Unchained stuff that we run is the 3 mandatory A-Bombs Prison. I don't think I'd run this any less than 3. This card is just so cracked. It searches any Unchained card in your deck. So it searches everything. So, and it's got the same effect as the rest of them. If it's popped, you get a special and Unchained name. So this card is just absolutely crazy. Then we have, oh yeah, I forgot I had this package in here. So we have the the DDD package, of course. I know a lot of people have been thinking about taking this out. I like running the Vice King and the 3 contracts, because to me these they're good in time as well. So this did come up today. The Vice King and the 3 contracts. The contracts also can be used as another form of negate or a suck with Menace. So this can be, if you have a spare one in your hand and you draw multiples, they're not really dead. I mean, you're still able to play with, to play through them. So if they special summon a monster, you just go ahead and pop a contract instead of detaching. So you still have all that in Menace, especially if you're playing against Flu. This card is good to have because you can just detach, or you can pop a contract instead and just continue to just keep adding materials to Menace after you go into him. And then he's the one that gives Menace the effect to pop a card on field and shuffle back a dark contract and gain 1,000. So that's where the time part comes in with this card. It's just very important to have. I don't think I would cut it. I think depending on where this deck goes, depending on what might happen to it, this might change. But as of right now, this to me, these 4 cards are very mandatory. Next part of the deck that I would like to go to is like the general utility and just main spells and hand traps, I suppose. In here we have 3 Prosby. Never really drew this today. This card, I drew it once, I believe, and it did save the bacon because I was able to grab Thrust and then thrust into some other form of interruption. I believe it was a Talents or an Imperm or one of the traps. One of the traps is definitely a good way to like if you get that off a pot and you've got one of the other traps and you see the other one, then you're just like, okay, I'm definitely grabbing the trap so I have more interaction on your turn, our turn. But this card, I mean, it's cracked. It's one of the most broken cards in the game right now. Just able to look at the top 6 and grab one. And then with the Talents and the Thrust, we run 2 Thrust and 1 Talents. I've seen people cut this down to 1 and 1, but I like to have kind of like a 3 of there. I did have this at 2. I'm running a 42 card build, so I used to run this at 2 and this at 3. Kind of didn't see the necessity for it, because it's like if you see this card in your hand, that's good. If you see this card in your hand, that's really good. And if you see both of them, you're just gaming, and you have like 3 parts of the engine. So like to me, you want to see these because this lets you search any of your traps. Even if you can't activate it, you can set one of your traps and then pop them, get the effect. So this card does everything because you can use it as an extender. You could grab Talents. You can grab anything you want usually. And I don't run Wailing. I used to. Actually, for my build in YCS, I ran Wailing of the Unchained Souls. It's still a good card. I just don't like seeing it a whole lot in my opening hand. I know it's like another extender, but I never really used it a whole lot. So, or for the regular effect. So I just kind of went 2-3 on the traps. I think, and you can recycle those too if you decide to do Griffin Lock, but I just kind of went with that. So, and then the last kind of utility spell that I have in here is main deck Duster. So I used to have Duster and Change of Heart mained. I decided to just keep the Duster in there because with Rescue Ace and a bunch of back row heavy decks floating around like Labyrinth and so of course Rescue Ace, this card just really comes up a lot. I think more now than it ever did. Honestly, in the future, I'm debating on throwing in Cosmic Cyclones as well. Not in main board, but maybe siding. But I think this card right now it just goes too hard to not run it. And then we get into the hand traps. So I run 3 different hand traps in this deck. Beforehand, I was only running 2. I was running Impermanent Ash, which we do run, but we run the Angry Rock. We run 3 Ash, and we also run 3 Imperm. So those are the 3 most generic ones in the meta, and I had all 3 of these come up and either win me a game today or just absolutely steamroll when I needed it to. So my matchups today, which I forgot to mention, so my matchups today played against Abyss Actor of all things, I played against Infernoble, Rescue Ace, and Tearlaments. So 2-0'd in Abyss Actor. Went to time. Second game against Infernoble, that went to 2-1. It was a very, very close game. That's probably the funnest game I had all day because it was very back and forth. It was like if I didn't open up thrust in game 3, then I probably was gonna sack that game so hard. There's just no way I was winning. But the only thing that saved me was he went Charles to negate one of my spells that I had, and I was able to go thrust into talents take, and I took Charles and had it on my field, and I ended up being able to link off with a bunch of his stuff, going into Anguish and all that kind of thing to make the board. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the extra deck too. So have our tokens. We got the Slime, the G-Golem, and the regular Scapegoat token. And the XYZs, so we run one Wave High King. I always want to call that Caesar Valius. I'm so used to seeing VS floating around. This card is your bread and butter. This is your special summon negate. You want to see this, and whenever it's sent to the graveyard, you get to add a dark contract. So it's very useful. Then you have Menace. Menace is really good in those oddball matchups, especially like Flu. I hate playing against that deck because this deck does not like the Flu. But overall, usually you want to go Menace and Unchained Unchained A-Bomb. There we go. And those are your main 2 cards that you really want to see a whole lot of whenever you're playing against Flu. And then the last 2, I only run 4 XYZ in this deck. It's very link heavy, more link heavy than I realized. But we run 1 Typhon, very good card. It's a Fiend, so if you use a Rua effect, you're Fiend locked. Oh, guess what? That just so happens to be a Fiend. So really good. And then we have your Zeus, your standard Zeus. So I think these are just very generic, very good to have. I think I think you need to kind of run those for this build. And then get into the links. You have 2 Yama. This is your starter and your search. It just lets you add everything. Like if you get 1 search off of anything, this is the card that you want to search. Or like this is the card that you want to have successfully resolved to search. For example, this is what you need to resolve for the Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 kind of thing for if you do Tour Guide, because Tour Guide brings out Rhino. Link those 2 off, and then you go this and Rhino. So Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. And it just lets you add a Rua, and then you pitch Shavara, and then Shavara lets you set 1. So you have way more extension from there. And then this is the one that lets you just special any Fiend from graveyard. So if you're going Griffin Lock, this will let you, if Griffin gets popped in any way, shape, or form, then you can literally go, okay, banish this from graveyard. We're going to special summon back out Griffin. Griffin Lock's still alive now. Yay! Then your dogs, we have the 2 Soul Rage. We have the 1 Anguish. And then you have your 1 A-Bomb. This came up once during the 4 matches I had today. I mean, these 2 really just came up once. This is like this is the one that you want to see. 2 does come up, not as often as you would think, but you do want a second one because you can use your other extra deck monsters that you have that I'll be getting into here in a minute because I have the toolboxy stuff here. But these are your bread and butter cards that you kind of want to see, mainly this one, but this will let you play. You can get into this. This will usually go this line if you play through Nibiru, which I did that. I played through Nibiru, used this card, and then went into him, and it just kind of saved the day. So next little bit, we've got your toolboxy stuff. We got 1 Muckraker. I mean, if you're going Griffin Lock, you need this card. Because you'll have Soul of Rage and Yama engraved, or Soul of Rage will be on field, Yama will be engraved. You'll use this effect, target Yama, pitch a card, and then special out special out the Yama and then link those two off for the Griffin, where it's got the link pointing towards the middle zone, so you're able to kind of facilitate and kind of lock your opponent out of playing or with special summon monsters. And then you have probably my favorite part of this. You have SP Little Knight. So SP Little Knight is just the most broken card in this format. I used it all kinds of times when I was in YCS Indy. I used this card at I didn't get to use it any at local study. I just never got the opportunity to get Soul of Rage to resolve because everybody was like, actually I take that back. I used this once. I used this once today. But this does come up because it does save your bacon a ton whenever you're trying to do things. So this is one of the other cards that you really use to link, or you link Soul of Rage off to get into this card. And you also go into Nightmare Unicorn. To me, the reason I decided to run both of these is SP Little Knight against Rescue Ace is good and all, but the moment they get Headquarters out on the field, it kind of doesn't do a whole lot, because the Headquarters lets them shuffle from Banished. So you don't want to banish their cards, or it doesn't really do a whole lot. It's very low impact. So if you have Unicorn, or if you're able to link into Unicorn, then that's when you're able to kind of do a little bit more impact. You're able to shuffle back one of their monsters, and then they're forced to either search it out or draw it. So I like both of these together, I think, because this gives you a little bit more utility. This is good against some of the graveyard stuff. This is really good against decks that don't care if their stuff gets banished. And then the last two cards we have, of course, the Griffin Lock that I mentioned earlier. Lets you set one from grave, and then you discard set one from grave, and if it's co-linked, which it will be if you have Milkraker on the field, you get to draw a card. So you're getting to set one, pitch one, and then draw again. So usually you want to see a hand trap off the draw here, because by this point you're already doing what you've already wanted to do. So this doesn't come up. I don't think I played this today. A lot of people are putting this on the chopping block. I'm debating it, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, this card does come up. I kind of wish I would have played this card a little bit more today, but it plays harder than Nibiru. It's very, very difficult. And then the last card, I haven't seen a whole lot of people playing, but I like it because it just outs big tower monsters, and it's a White Woman Jump Scare. So Underworld Goddess of the Closed World is pretty much a kaiju style card, just lets you tribute, and then it also has the big negate over the entire field, and it has the graveyard or Monster Reborn negate. There we go. And then we're gonna get off to the extra deck. So I've been trying to bling this deck out a little bit, so I'm kind of excited to show this off a little bit. So one of the first things that we have we have a few thrust targets. We have 3 traps, 3 spells for thrust targets. It does come, like, these have came up a lot. First card, we got Daruma Karma Cannon. It's just insane. This card just does so much. Gets around a lot of, like, the targeting effects, gets around, like, oh, you can't target this, but this affects your opponent, like, evenly does. So that's why I really like this card. We got the D-Barrier. D-Barrier is just an absolutely killer card. This card came up a couple times. I think it came up against Infernoble. I drew it, but I never got to... Actually, I drew it, but I never got to use it. This card does come up, though, because you are able to call all kinds of stuff to just stop your opponent from playing the game. And then the last trap that we have is Evenly Matched. So evenly matched is evenly matched, people. I mean, it just banish everything face down. It does what it does. And the 3 spells that we decided to run, I don't run Herald in here, which is, I took it out last second because I wanted to cut the deck down to 40, and I wanted to kind of throw Nibiru in the main board. But the 3 spells we run is Dark Ruler, Change of Heart, and Lightning Storm. Still looking for QCs of those 2. But these are, to me, Dark Ruler evenly. Usually those 2 go in at the same time. Because it's like, okay, mass negate everything. Battle phase. Get rid of everything that you have. And then Change of Heart. You can ask my buddy Brad about this. He hates this card because this has won me so many games in the past, because it's like, okay, I'm going to steal your boss monster. You're not going to get it. And then Lightning Storm, it's very versatile. To me, it's just another copy of Duster, but it's better in the sense if you're playing against decks like Link decks, because it destroys all face-up attack position monsters. Just really, really good to have. And then we're getting into the hand traps. So there's a couple weird techs that I had for locals this week, because I figured there was going to be some time issues, which I'm kind of glad I did side the last card that I'm going to show you guys. But kind of stock and standard 3-draw. You know, draws shuts down a lot of decks. I just figured, why not? I've been playing around with this card, so I haven't seen a lot of people play it up until recently, but I really like Shifter in this deck. It does hurt your graveyard recursion with Yama and a few other things, but in the end, this is more important. So it's like if you're playing against Tier, you're going to be able to play through. Shifter. You're still going to be able to set up a board. It's just not going to be very. You're not going to be able to bring it back as well as you would, but Tier is not able to play at all through the Shifter. And then the last card that I threw in here was for time specifically, because I knew I was going to have to deal with that at some point. And I ran 3 Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood, or Wookie Spogdid, as I call it. I feel like this card, a lot of people run it too. If I was going to change this into anything, it'd probably be 3 Phantasme. Phantasme is just such a good card right now in this meta. But this card, if it goes to time, because you play a lot of combo decks, if you play any sort of deck that's just rattles off for hours, like play Solitaire, you're going to need that. So this is one of the cards that will come up. That did come up a couple times, and yeah, I think that's one of the main things that, one of the cards that I would probably change in here for Phantasme. Or Mistaken Arrest. Mistaken Arrest is making just an absolute killing of the meta right now. As for the main deck, I don't think right now I would change anything. If I would be to change anything, it might be the selection of hand traps I use, depending on what's coming up in this meta. So I'd probably say, depending on what the next meta is going to look like, Droll may be stronger than what we expect, but I feel like that's pretty solid right now. But I'm open to recommendations. Guys, leave a comment down below. Kind of give me an idea of what and all you guys would want to see, or any recommendations on the deck, because this has been my baby for a minute. This deck is just absolutely crazy. It does everything. It does your taxes. It does your laundry. All jokes. It's such a solid deck right now. I think people are expecting it though, so keep that in mind if you decide to build this deck. But when you do build it, if you're a big Link fan, or if you like XYZs, or you like both, you will fall in love with this deck, because it just pops everything. But it does hate Gravekeeper's Inscription and a few other cards like Abyss Dweller. But guys, with that being said, hope you like the deck list. Leave some comments down below. Let me know what I could change. Let me know what I could be testing with this deck, like, Marionette might. But guys, thanks for watching. My name's Tom with Track Our Game, and we'll see you next time.